Throughout the years, Sioux Falls has added more jobs, education opportunities, and better shopping and culture activities to the city. Have you ever wondered how that growth happens? Dave Rosenboom is with Forward Sioux Falls and Bob Munt is with the Sioux Falls Development Foundation. They're here to tell us how the two organizations are working together to bring even more opportunities to residents in KELOLAND. Welcome to the show, you two.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, Bob, I want to start with you. Now, what's happening with Sioux Falls Development?
Well, we're focusing on a couple of different things. One, of course, is bringing new companies here to Sioux Falls to create quality jobs, but also working with existing companies to make sure that they have everything that they need to be successful here. And the second part of what we're really spending a lot of time on is workforce development. How do we bring more people here to Sioux Falls to fill those jobs and make this their home?
Now, I'm really glad you brought up those two things. Now, what would the biggest appeal be for not only people watching or thinking of moving to Sioux Falls, but businesses as well?
Yeah, I think Sioux Falls and South Dakota offer some very good incentives from a tax perspective to be here in Sioux Falls and in South Dakota. I also think we have a great quality of life here. We have the opportunity for some tremendous educational opportunities. Again, things to do in your off hours, great housing opportunities. I just think that that is all what kind of contributes to what makes Sioux Falls special.
Now, Sioux Falls has had a massive population hike in the past few years. Dave, now, do you have some numbers on that and how many people have come in the past few years?
Yeah, you could use any period of time to measure it, but if you go back to 2010 through 18, that's a period of 8 years, and we've grown our population. Over 37,000 individuals have chosen to move to Sioux Falls during that period of time.
Now, why do you think that is?
Well, I just think, as Bob shared, we have a wonderful quality of life. We have great job opportunities, excellent education systems, and then also just a lot of fun things to do in Sioux Falls.
Now, with any growing city, you want to continue to add to that population. What's in the works for continuing to get people to move to Sioux Falls?
I really think it gets down to, is Sioux Falls a place where people want to be? That helps us in retaining the individuals that live here that we have, but it also helps us to be attractive to others who want to relocate here.
Now, Bob, back to you. What is the current vision statement then for your foundation?
Well, our vision basically focuses on what I mentioned before, tax-based growth, quality jobs, workforce development, and all of that leads to a higher standard of living and higher quality of life here in Sioux Falls. So that's kind of our vision, and the things that we do feed that.
Okay. Now, with workforce and development, the big thing is jobs, but an even bigger thing is pay. How are you planning on getting better paying jobs here to Sioux Falls?
Yeah, one of the things that we can do in our situation now is we can be a little bit more selective as to the companies that we recruit here and the types of firms that we want to bring here. So we look at those companies that create those high-paying jobs, that create the ability to buy homes here, to buy merchandise here, to basically invest in the community. So we're a little bit more selective now on the types of companies that we are recruiting to the area, and we're looking at different ways that we can continue to raise that standard of living.
Interesting. I like that you said selective. In which ways are you being selective with what comes to Sioux Falls?
Well, I think, you know, we used to kind of take anything that came to the table, and right now, you know, we can kind of take a hard look at that. If they still want to come, we can do that. But the incentives aren't as great to do that. So we incent the ones that we want here, and the ones that still want to come, we'll take them again. But I think the high quality jobs is really what we're looking for.
Interesting. Now, Dave, with population increase comes, of course, housing, finding places to live. What is the current plan, I guess, with Sioux Falls? Are you going to expand or try to build more within?
Yeah, so primarily we rely on the private sector to respond to the demand that population growth presents. And I think the private sector has really done an excellent job in that way. I think we have a wide array of offerings, both single-family homes, multifamily, and kind of everything in between. And then also we have some great communities right around Sioux Falls that for those individuals that want to live in a smaller community, Brandon, Harrisburg, T, Hartford, and so many other communities help contribute to our housing stock.
And with that housing stock and you wanting people to stay, how would you get people to stay in Sioux Falls to continue to add to that population?
Yeah.
And the growth?
So I think it comes from a lot of different ways, but first and foremost, I think people live in a community because it provides them a job opportunity. We all need income to live our lives, and I think maintaining a healthy, strong economy is probably as high of a priority as anything. But beyond that, where do people want to live? What do they want to do? Having great park systems, great entertainment venues really helps us out.
Now, I'm really glad that you brought up workplace and the workplace initiative. And in what ways can you help people perhaps find better jobs here in Sioux Falls? Workforce, excuse me.
I think there's a number of different ways. First of all, plug them into the opportunities that are available. Work with our educational institutions to make sure that we're constantly upskilling the people that are here into those new jobs that are being created. Many of the jobs created today are tech-related types of jobs, whether it's learning how to run a machine, maintain a machine, program a computer, whatever that might be. So really looking at our educational institutions and having them play a big role in educating and continuing to train our workforce.
Now my big question, and this is for both of you, where do you see Sioux Falls going in about 5, maybe 10 years? And I'll start with you, Bob.
We're on a great trajectory. I think we have the resources that we have here, whether it's land, availability, access, those types of things. Those are all things that are good for us. And I think that we've kind of created a reputation over the years that we're a good place to be. We're starting to make more of those national best lists. And so I think people are starting to see more of that and really kind of coming to the conclusion that Sioux Falls is a great place to be.
And Dave, you?
I would just say that for the past 50 years or so, Sioux Falls has benefited from a rural to urban migration, and as our community has grown, that's been the primary driver. But as you look forward, really much more reliance on urban to urban migration and also immigration to fill the need. So I expect that our workplaces are going to look a lot more diverse in the years to come than perhaps they have in the past.
Well, I'd like
that'd be a great thing for our community.
Well, that's great, and I'd like to thank you both for coming today, so thank you so much, Dave and Bob.